Okay, we're moving on with rational expressions, and well, I shouldn't say quite like that. What we're going to solve now is equations. So we're going to have rational equations. What's going to happen is we throw in an equal sign, and we're going to use all the same tricks that we've already learned. So the first thing we have to see, so here we have a rational equation. We have those fractions with variables. Now the trick here is we just want to get a common denominator. And so let me do it like this. So if I can get a common denominator, the denominator has nothing to do with it. So suppose I turn this, I want to get these all to be over 6. We're going to use the same tricks we already know. I'd have 3x over 6 plus 2 over 6 equals 4 over 6. Now here's the key. If you have them over the same denominator, the denominator has absolutely nothing to do with how you solve this equation on the top. 3x plus 2 is 4 is all that you need. So, I don't know if they're doing this yet. Yeah, they're showing the whole thing. So let me just take you through since my scribble is in the middle of this. Now, the first thing they're going to talk about, and I don't know if they dedicate a whole section to this or not, we have to see if there are values that would break this equation. Remember, we cannot have it be undefined. You can't have 0 on the bottom of a fraction. So this has what's called a restricted value. X is not allowed to be 0. I think we saw that in an earlier video. If x is 0, we break this. We would get 1 over 0, which is not allowed. So we're going to solve this just like I was telling you. We're going to get an LCD here on the bottom, and it's going to be 6x. So this guy needs the 6, so I'm going to give him to the bottom and I'm going to give him to the top. This guy needs a 2x, give him to the bottom, give him to the top. This guy just needed the x, give it to the bottom, give it to the top. These are all the same tools we've been using. The only difference now is we have an equal sign. So they are all over the same denominator. That bottom is the same. It has nothing to do with the solution to this. All we have to do is solve 6 plus 2x equals 5x. So x is 2. Now, the extra thing that we have to watch out for here is this. Sometimes the value that you get is a restricted value and is then not allowed to be a solution to the equation. Now, that is not the case here. We saw that the only restricted value was 0, so we're fine. X is allowed to be 2. Now, as always, try it yourself or I'll show you here. We're going to try to get all of these to be over, well, let's do it like this. This one needs the 3 and the 5, which is 15, and give it to the top and the bottom. This one needs the 5 and a y, top and bottom. This one needs a 3 and a y. Okay, same game we've been doing in the earlier videos. Nothing has changed. Now the truth is that's all I need, but I'll show you that it's over this. Okay, it's over that, but the denominator doesn't have anything to do with this. We don't even need that. All we're going to do is solve this equation here. Now I'm working it the other way around just because that's where the y's were the fastest way to do it. So, but there we go. Now we check for restricted value, but the only restricted value here is 0, so that's fine. Okay, same idea here. Remember, we turn 1 into 1 over 1. Okay? So now do you see that we're going to try to get all these denominators to be, oh yeah, I forgot, they always do that method, I don't like it. So let's do it my way. Okay, so I want everything to be over y squared, so I'm going to give a y squared there. I'm going to give y's there, and then I'm good here. Now, do you see, I'm going to go ahead and skip writing the denominator. You see, I have the match. That's what I've done it for, and that is going to have nothing to do with it. Now, the only way we know so far to solve this is the zero product property. Because it has a square in it, the only way I know how to solve this is to make one side equal to 0 and then factor it and solve the individual pieces. Okay. All right. So I got two answers, 6 and -1. We need to check for those restricted values, but again, the only restricted value here, the only thing that could make these denominators 0 is, or y equal to 0 is if y was 0. So y equals 0, or not allowed to be 0. That's our restricted, so we're good. No problems there. Okay, try one on your own if you want to. Oops. So I should have made that. Hold on, I messed that up. All right, I want them all over x squared. So I'm giving him an x squared, giving him another x. All right, and this guy's got all the x's he needs. So we've got x squared minus 2x. Now, I realize I should probably be showing this because the restricted values is going to be an issue in a little bit. All right, they're all over x squared. So now I don't need that. I'm going to come up here and do. Now let's solve that. So I'm solving it, bringing it. You got to have an empty room. I'm doing the zero product property thing. Okay, now there are my solutions. And these are not restricted values. Again, the only one is 0, so I'm good. There's my solution. Okay, I think we're going to start to have issues with those restricted values now. Let's go for it. Now, we've seen this a lot, but do you remember, here's this factored. It's the super common one. I'm going to spread these out a little bit so I've got some room. Okay, play the same game we've been playing for quite some time now. He needs an x minus 2. He needs an x plus 2. All right, the denominator does not matter anymore. I'm going to distribute this and get 2x minus 4 plus 4x plus 8 equals x minus 1. Now we just have some cleaning up to do. Now I'm going fast. I'm just swinging him over, just doing the algebra here. Okay, so I get a solution of x is -1, and I thought I would have an issue with restricted values, but not here. Do you see the two values that would break this are -2 and 2? Those would cause the denominator to be 0, and I didn't get that. So my answer is valid. Okay, try one on your own if you want. Okay, I need a common denominator, so he needs an x minus 1. He needs an x plus 1. He's got everything he needs. All right, now the denominator doesn't matter anymore, so I'm going to distribute. Just the top. Okay, I hope you're okay with this. I'm just distributing. Now we're going to clean up. I left the bottom off because I don't need it. Okay. So check my restrictions. It would be 1 and -1. If at any point in the problem it breaks it, it's a restricted value. But so 1 or -1 are my two problems. So we're okay. All right, factoring everything down, that's always our first step. And I'm not even thinking about when they do m minus 4, like these are factored over here, that's what this is going to be. They always do that. So I didn't even think about it. I just... Okay, common denominator. Same trick we've been doing. All right, the bottoms match, so they don't matter. Just distributing here. Now, I'm going to be careful of that minus sign. I'm going to do it like this. So that minus is now going to go to everyone, okay? Or you could have thought of it as you're distributing -3. That would, where he owns that sign, you could do it like that. I just left it for one extra step here. So this minus, he came from here, is going to go through. Okay. Now we just got to clean this up. I'm going to swing this m this way and get 1m plus 7 equals 11. I'm going to subtract that 7. So 1m is just m, and we have m is 4. Oh, I forgot to check my restrictions. Oh yeah, so this one, we finally got to there. M is 4. Let's check our restricted values. The problems are 4 and 1. Those would cause it to be restricted, or would cause it to break. And that's what we got. And so what we're going to say here is there's no solution to this, because the only one we found is not permitted. So it has to say that we can't solve it. Now I'm sure we're going to see the same thing here. Get my common denominator. Okay, same trick. Not doing anything new there. Now let's just start cleaning it up. I'm only going to write the top now. Now this time I'm going to do this. So I'm going to have this 4. He's going to own that subtraction sign. Remember, they don't make any difference in algebra. Subtraction, negative, same thing. He's going to own it and go through as a -4. So I'm going to get -4x. -4 times -5 is plus 20. That saved me some writing, was my goal there. Okay, I'm going to swing this x over. He's going to be a negative x over there, so I'll get 1x plus 8. Take the 8 the other way. All right, so we get x is 5. Here's the problem. That's a restricted value. That would have made this 0, so this solution is not permitted, and so we have no solution here. Okay, hold on. Check our status here, what we've got left, if there's anything that's different. Well, I'll go ahead and do one more of these, and then it looks like there's just one more type of problem coming. So remember, with a 5, we're going to just make it like it's over 1. Okay, so he needs an x minus 4. He needs everything. Yeah, I'll talk about this. This is going to be, there's a little trick to that. Okay, so here I'm going to get x squared minus 4x. This guy didn't need anything, so he's 32. Now here's the deal here. What would we do with this? Well, this we know is x squared minus 16. So I'm actually going to unfactor it. I'm going to put it back together. Do you remember we got this from here by factoring it? And the 1 needed both of them. So, well, how do I multiply 5 times all this? You can do it just like you'd send the 5 through there, then you take the answer and multiply. But I know that all of this is x squared minus 16. So I'm just going to put it back like that. and get plus 5 times x squared minus, see, I just put it back together, now I'm multiplying my 5 there. Okay, now our math is definitely going to be harder here. Yeah, we've got squares going on, so I'm going to bring this x squared over here, and I'm going to get 4x squared, so I'm subtracting it. Okay, I'm going to bring this minus 4x to the other side. It's going to be a plus 4x. And I'm going to put these two together, 32 and minus 80. I'm going to get negative 48, I think, right? Yeah. Now, I intentionally emptied out the other room because what I saw here is that I'm going to use the zero product property. Now, always take a GCF. You don't want to do the AC method if you don't have to. Okay. Now, do you remember with the zero product property, this 4 is not going to have anything to do with the answer. It can never become 0, so he's not the problem. I'll leave him there, but he doesn't have anything to do with it. Okay, now we have it all factored down. It's zero product. The 4 can't be 0, so I don't have to worry about him. But I'll set x plus 4 equal to 0, x minus 3 is 0. Okay, my two solutions are negative 4 and 3, but now let's check them. Negative 4 right there would cause a 0, so it cannot be a solution. Only x equals 3. Okay, let me see, is this anything other than being really difficult? Yeah, there's nothing here other than a lot of craziness. Okay, I'm not going to talk through there, so let's just do one more of these. Yeah, let's do one more of these. This will be our own here. I don't know what we're going to get other than a whole lot of work. So I already suspect, looking at this, that these are my factors, and I'm correct. Now he has the x minus 2. He's going to need the x plus 3. He's got the x plus 3. He needs the x minus 2. Now I'm going to do that trick I showed you. 3 is going to own this subtraction sign so I don't lose it. So it's negative 3 going through here. I've got negative 3x minus 9. Okay, I'm not sure what's so different about this one. I don't see it. I'm going to just clean up here. I've got 6. Just cleaning up, I've got sending that 4 to the other side, I get 10. Okay, so I get x is 2, and that's a restricted value. I was expecting something more monumental here, but so the only value that we get is x equals 2. Yeah, that's all we get, and that's a restricted value, so we have no solution. Okay, that's how you solve them. Get a common denominator, which you already know how to do. The common denominator then becomes irrelevant, and you can solve it. Just solve the top, but watch out for any restrictions that might break the equation. You can't have answers that are restricted.